Okay, so have you ever just stopped and wondered why human beings are so incredibly contradictory? Like why we constantly feel pulled in a million different directions all at the exact same time? Well, today we are going to explore the chaotic, brilliant, and honestly deeply flawed nature of our own minds. We're going to decode a legendary text that actually mapped all this out centuries ago. So buckle up because we are about to decode the ultimate human riddle.
Seriously, why are we so smart, yet so incredibly capable of making just terrible decisions? It is the ultimate modern dilemma, isn't it? We can literally split the atom, we put rovers on Mars, and yet we still overthink a simple text message. Or we do things totally against our own best interests when we absolutely know better. This explainer is entirely focused on answering exactly why our brains seem to operate at these two wildly different, super frustrating extremes.
Now, you might be thinking this is some new modern anxiety problem, but actually, scratch that. This excerpt is from an absolute masterpiece written way back in the 18th century. It's from an essay on man by the legendary poet Alexander Pope. Long before modern psychology or neuroscience were even a thing, Pope hit the nail on the head. He basically wrote the ultimate diagnostic manual for the human condition, all neatly packed into a few brilliant lines of poetry.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really get Pope's argument, we first have to look at the word scan, which means to measure or contemplate. Pope kicks off his poem by firmly telling us not to do this to God, or to the universe at large. He argues that trying to measure or comprehend these massive, infinite, divine forces around us, it's a complete waste of energy, purely because it's just so far beyond our human capacity.
So what should we do instead? His crucial point is captured right here. Pope writes, "Know then thyself, presume not God to scan. The proper study of mankind is man." He's telling us that if we truly want to solve the riddle of our own existence, we have to stop looking up at the heavens trying to decode the whole universe. Instead, we need to turn that magnifying glass right back onto ourselves. We are the most important, proper subject we could ever possibly study. And that brings us to his absolute core concept, the middle state. Pope introduces this idea to explain exactly where humanity is parked in the grand, chaotic structure of the universe. And honestly, it begins to explain exactly why we act like such riddles. See, we aren't at the very top, perfect and all-knowing, but we also aren't at the very bottom, running purely on blind animal instinct. We occupy this very specific, incredibly uncomfortable middle ground.
To really help us visualize this middle state, Pope uses a fantastic geographical metaphor. Think of an isthmus. It's a narrow strip of land connecting two larger land masses, completely surrounded by the sea. I want you to hold on to that clear mental image. Humanity is literally stranded on this tiny, fragile little bridge. On one side, you have the vastness of the divine. On the other side, the animal kingdom. And us, we're stuck right on that narrow strip in between. This, right here, is the birthplace of our internal riddle.
This brilliantly illustrates the tension of our whole existence. Pope writes that we are placed on this isthmus of a middle state, a being darkly wise and rudely great. We're just stranded here. And listen to those incredible contrasting descriptions. We possess this profound, almost shadowy intelligence. We are darkly wise, but it's combined with a totally raw, unrefined greatness, and both are operating inside us at the exact same time.
Now, to understand the intellectual trap of being in this middle state, we need to talk about the skeptic, someone who is just highly doubtful of the validity of human knowledge. This represents one extreme end of the human spectrum. You know the type, right? It's that side of us that questions absolutely everything, overanalyzes every tiny detail, and firmly believes we can't truly know anything for sure.
But then, on the complete opposite side, we have the stoic, someone who suppresses emotion at life's disappointments. They strive for pure, unfeeling detachment. They pride themselves on just not letting the world get to them at all. So now we've got our two extremes fully set up, the absolute intellectual doubt of the skeptic and the absolute emotional suppression of the stoic. It is the ultimate emotional tug-of-war happening right inside our own heads. Now, watch how Pope brings these two extremes crashing together. With too much knowledge for the skeptic's side, with too much weakness for the stoic's pride, he hangs between. I mean, this is basically the 18th century definition of modern analysis paralysis. We know way too much about the world to simply doubt everything like the skeptic. But we're way too emotional, too weak, as Pope says, to just detach completely like the stoic. So what happens? We just hang there, completely stuck in the middle. And because we hang between, the result is this constant, agonizing doubt. Act versus rest. Pope says we are in doubt to act or rest. Should we aggressively pursue our goals, hustle, and make things happen? Or should we just step back, rest, and accept things exactly as they are? We are perpetually frozen, constantly calculating the perfect move, and often ending up doing absolutely nothing at all.
And the crazy thing is, the doubt doesn't stop at our actions. It infects our very identity. God versus beast. We are in doubt to deem himself a god or beast. Literally, one minute we feel like untouchable divine creators, shaping our own destiny, and the very next minute, we're acting entirely on basic, instinct-driven animal impulses.
It gets even more granular than that. Mind versus body. We are in doubt his mind or body to prefer. Think about how deeply relatable this is today. We are constantly torn between our lofty intellectual ambitions, like reading, learning, meditating, and the very immediate, highly demanding physical cravings of our bodies. It's a rapid-fire, chaotic tug-of-war that never truly ends.
Which brings us to a profoundly relatable point. Pope says we are born but to die and reasoning but to err, alike in ignorance, his reason such, whether he thinks too little or too much. He is seamlessly connecting to our modern epidemic of overthinking right here. He's pointing out that whether you completely shut your brain off and think way too little, or you absolutely overanalyze and think way too much, the outcome is identical. Extreme thinking in either direction lands us in the exact same state of ignorance and error. No way around it. So let's step back for a second. If we're stuck between action and rest, mind and body, overthinking and underthinking, what exactly does that make us? Well, it makes us a chaos of thought and passion. That is exactly what we are. We are not these perfectly logical, calculating machines. We're a swirling, messy storm of logic and emotion, all happening at once.
And Pope expands on this beautifully. Chaos of thought and passion all confused, still by himself abused or disabused. Notice the brilliant paradox he's calling out here. We are both the victims and the perpetrators of our own suffering. We abuse our own minds with anxiety, stress, and doubt, and then we have to be the ones to disabuse or correct ourselves. We are solely responsible for both creating and untangling our own internal chaos. Just consider the sheer scale of this contradiction for a moment. We are the great Lord of all things versus a prey to all. Humans have this incredible capacity to conquer environments and literally act as lords of the physical world around us. Yet simultaneously, we are prey to all. The smallest little thing, a tiny setback, a passing negative comment, or a microscopic illness can just completely derail us. We are fiercely powerful and incredibly fragile, literally at the exact same time.
Okay, let's take a collective breath and look at how this all resolves. Created half to rise and half to fall. Sole judge of truth, in endless error hurled. The tone shifts here, right? It goes from anxiety to a kind of majestic acceptance. Pope is telling us that rising to great heights and falling flat on our faces, that's not a glitch in our programming. Making endless mistakes while desperately searching for the truth isn't a failure. It is exactly how we were designed to function in this middle state. Which leads us to this glorious, triumphant, final realization. Humanity is the glory, jest, and riddle of the world. This is why we act like riddles, folks, because we are one. We are the crowning achievement of creation, the glory. We're a total cosmic joke, endlessly tripping over our own feet, the jest. And we are a magnificent, complex puzzle that can never truly be solved, the riddle. You aren't supposed to figure it all out perfectly. You are simply supposed to be this beautiful, unsolvable contradiction. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one thought. How will you embrace your own internal contradictions today? Now that you know you're stationed on this narrow isthmus, perfectly balanced between wisdom and error, mind and body, glory and jest, maybe it's time to just stop fighting your own chaotic nature. Embrace the riddle. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the mind, and I will catch you in the next explainer.